Welcome back to another episode of Medical Money, the podcast where we help healthcare professionals like you learn finance and money. I'm Kirk Roberts. I'm an ER nurse, financial educator, and also licensed financial representative.
And I'm Ben Chandia, firefighter, advanced CMT, and also a licensed financial professional.
Guys, today our podcast we're going to talk about building your financial house. Matter of fact, Ben actually brought this up in an earlier episode when we talked about the financial house. Could it be on fire? Are you inside your financial house? Is it burning? So the financial house is a simple way for you to visualize your personal financial journey. And so whether you're fresh out of nursing school, you've been in the field for 20 years, you've been running rigs forever, this podcast is for you. So understand also, we're going to go over each of the layers of this financial house in podcasts in the future. So today's going to be more an overview, and then we'll kind of drill down into each of these layers of this financial house.
Yeah. And if you're tuning in on YouTube, in the notes section, we're going to have a diagram of this financial house. Okay. Again, this is going to be a blueprint for you guys. You can't start building a house until you have a blueprint in set.
All right, guys, so let's break this down from the ground up. And trust me, if any of this part of the house is missing, well, that could have some serious financial implications for you. So we don't want your house to just spontaneously collapse. So let's build out something solid. So let's talk about the base of your home, which is the foundation that everything's built on, which is called income protection. And income protection in basic terms is you are protecting your income. As we brought up in CYA, or Cover Your Assets, we talked about you are your biggest asset. Remember, the definition of asset is anything that puts money into your pocket. Liability is anything that takes money out of your pocket. So with that, you are your greatest asset. So your ability to earn income. What if that stops? So we need to be able to protect your income in case something happens to you.
Yeah, guys, heaven forbid something happens to you. Maybe you get sick at work, or you get sick, you're injured, maybe something worse, right? You just don't come back home. All of these things could happen now. They could happen any minute. We have no idea when, right? And so really this income protection helps protect you, protects your family more than anything. It helps protect them to be able to continue living with potentially you not being there. Okay, so Kirk mentioned term life insurance, right? That's going to replace that income if ever something happened to you. There's also something like disability insurance. Okay, if you get really sick or injured and you're not able to go to work, disability insurance helps provide that income while you're recovering.
Guys, it's a lot like trauma protocol in healthcare, where you actually have your team set up, your protocol set up, so that you can be prepared for the emergency rather than just trying to wing it, right? So that's kind of what we're talking about. So income protection is our foundation. Now let's take a look at actually the floor plans. And this is actually budgeting. I know everyone hates the idea of, oh, I hate budgets. That's fine. But really, budgets tell us where your money is and where is it going. And so that's really super important.
Yeah, especially in healthcare. I mean, a lot of times, you have long shifts, maybe some overtime, you're feeling good, the money's coming in, and then boom, it's gone, right? And gosh, where is it going? Sometimes we have no idea. So it's very easy to overspend if you're not keeping track of it. And really a budget helps you stay grounded. It helps you keep that focus, making sure that you're not overspending and having to deal with overdraft fees or any of that kind of stuff.
Well, and I think we've talked about it in some of our terms in the past, where you have that creep that comes in, where the more you start earning, the more you start spending, right? And so with that, if your budget's actually built on a shaky foundation and you don't have everything, well, everything could collapse, right? So really, honestly, that's what we're talking about. So we have our income protection. We're then looking at the budgeting. But now let's take a look at your next level, which is your emergency fund. And this is your financial trauma bay. Well, it's going to happen, guys. Life's going to come at you. You're going to get hit financially right in the gut. You got whatever it is. But the question is, are you ready for it?
Yeah, I mean, really, you don't know. I mean, it could be a flat tire, a ER visit, or maybe hours get cut at work, right? You have all these big expenses that they're still coming around, and crap, what's going to pay for it all, right? So making sure that you have an emergency fund helps you plan for that unexpected thing that happens, okay? Now, a lot of experts say to to start off with something small, right? Have kind of some money set aside. I call it an oh crap fund, right? Like, oh crap, I need this money now, okay? But then you should start working towards building that up, right? Really, this emergency fund should act as a buffer, right? Especially if you have bigger obligations, like maybe a home and maybe car, auto stuff, right? You know, things that in the budget, hey, those are bigger expenses. We want to make sure that we're able to keep paying for them, right? The last thing we want is for a repo truck to come over and take your car away simply because you had an emergency and you weren't prepared for it.
Right, and most people actually, when they have an emergency, what's the first thing they do? Credit card, right? So we want to actually have you start with, you're starting small. Maybe you do 1 month at a time of your expenses, then it builds up to 3. And like Ben was saying, most financial experts say between 6 months of expenses is what you should have saved in an emergency fund for in case anything happens. But how do you know that if you don't have a budget?
Exactly.
So that's actually what we're talking about.
Yes.
So, and rather than living paycheck to paycheck, let's get you a budget and then also get you into that emergency fund. Now, so the next layer after that, actually having that emergency fund, is debt elimination.
Yes, debt. We all love paying debt. Not really. But you guys can see, like Kirk said, you guys can kind of start to see where we're going with this, right? We start with the foundation and then we're building on a budget, emergency fund. And now, hey, let's start getting debt out of the way. Okay. Now, debt is, we want to make sure that you're stable. Okay, first and foremost, we want to make sure that you're stable, and really we want to get rid of all debt eventually, but especially the high interest ones, right? Our previous podcast, we talked about the interest, right? You have high interest debts, typically credit cards or payday loans, things like that. Those things are going to eat you up. They really are.
And guys, think about it. Debt's like a wound. It's like an open wound that's just hemorrhaging. And so how can you actually heal if you don't stop that hemorrhaging? So whether you're using kind of like a snowball effect or like an avalanche effect, you're just chipping away at your debt, that's great, but we need to have a plan to do that. And we actually talked about before, if you have a plan of how to get out of debt, that's going to help you. Guys, here's a stat that's just going to blow you off the map here. Is 2024, consumer debt was at $17.57 trillion. That's trillion with a T. Okay, so that debt is a cancer, guys. And here's my question: how can you save and invest if all your money is going towards debt?
Yeah, it's crazy. And guys, it's not about shame, right? We're not here to shame you or things like that. This is about freedom, right? The freer that you are, the more options you have. Okay, the less debt you have, the more opportunities you have to do things like invest, right? Build your future instead of building MasterCard's future.
Right. And honestly, like you say, we're not trying to shame anyone here. We're not like, I know I'm in debt, Kirk. Yeah, we get it. But once again, it's that plan. And then once you can get out of that debt, then you can work on here that we can also be working on that investing part. And that's where it's really where your money starts making money. And that's just not for the wealthy. Yeah. Anyone can do it.
Yeah, anyone can. And really that's like you said, the next layer is investing. And so even if that's something like a 401k at work or a Roth IRA, a brokerage account, make sure that you're doing something, okay? And start small, right? Because one, it's different. You may have never done it before. And hey, luckily you found a podcast that's going to talk all about investments, right?
Yeah, like you said, we're not trying to save our way to wealth. We're trying to invest our way to wealth. But like he was talking about earlier, just like in healthcare with healing, it takes time and it takes consistency. Having that plan with time and consistency, that's how we're going to do it better.
Yeah, and that's really the key. So now let's start putting the roof on. Okay, let's start encapsulating this whole plan that we have. A roof is going to include things like a will, a trust, power of attorney, maybe medical directives, right? The things that are going to happen maybe after you go. Okay, because you really are the one that should decide how your house is handled, right? So we want to make sure that there's a roof on there to protect your home that you've put a lot of time and effort and really money into this thing. We want to make sure that we're protecting it from the storms, the hail, everything that's going to come afterwards.
And no one really likes talking about debt and being incapacitated. But if you don't make those decisions now, then guess what? The courts are going to take care of that later. But they don't know your family like you do. They don't know what's going to happen to all your stuff. So having a plan in point where you actually have like a will, a medical directive, whether that's really, really important.
Yeah, and really, like I said, it's really just peace of mind. It's peace of mind in writing, legal writing, that's for you and everybody else that you know and love.
Exactly. And so really, guys, let's just do a quick wrap up of this. The financial house looks like this. Once again, you have your income protection, you have your budget and your major expenses, you have your emergency fund, and then you also have your debt elimination, your investing, and your estate planning.
Yeah, and please don't rush into this, okay? We want to make sure that you're building one level at a time. And if maybe you're somewhere in the middle, that's totally fine. Keep doing what you're doing. That's okay. Just keep moving forward. That's the biggest thing with this.
Good news, guys. We are going to break down each of these layers of your financial house with separate podcasts, so we can actually drill down deeper as we get into your financial house, so you can see where we can build it and be stable with this. So we're going to get you out of debt. We're going to try to help you building your investments and your portfolios and building your financial house so that you're solid.
Yeah, and like we said at the beginning, this episode should be a blueprint. Okay, start building your blueprint with doing these different layers. Okay, because you can't, like you said, we can't build a house until we have something to go off of.
Right. So guys, we're going to try to upload this PDF to the YouTube site so you can actually visualize it and actually be able to have a picture. So every week as we're attacking this, we can actually look at it from a visualization.
Yeah, and please don't forget to subscribe, share this episode or any other episodes with coworkers, family, people in healthcare, whether that's a nurse, EMT, doctor, whoever it is, everybody can benefit from this knowledge.
And guys, really honestly, you guys probably know people who are great at saving lives, but are they great at saving for their future and for their financial success, right? So, hey, if you've got any questions or any topics you want to discuss with us, also, please send these to medicalmoneycash@gmail.com. Also, for those individuals who are thinking about, hey, I would like to have my own personalized financial plan, you can also reach out to us as well. We'd be more than happy to help you guys. We're here to help you. Once again, the comment is, does this make sense? Or does this make dollars? So once again, we'll be looking forward to seeing you next week. And good luck, guys. Thanks so much.
Have a good one.
I'm looking for a man in finance with trust fund. 6'5", blue eyes. Finance, trust fund. 6'5". I'm looking for a man in finance with trust fund. I'm looking for a man in finance with trust fund. 6'5", blue eyes. Finance, trust fund. 6'5". I'm looking for a man in finance with trust fund. 6'5".